Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. I don't verbally say this very often as I tend to be extremely mindful of potentially weaponizing my audience. But this is one of those times where I would ask you to please share this video. Make certain other content creators that may be affected by this are made aware so they know what is happening and why they are under no obligation whatsoever to go along with the demands that have been made by Catcode Games, and that Catcode Games have no legal right to do what they have done. Trademark disputes are certainly nothing new within the games industry, and it is something that we typically see resolved quite amicably, usually quietly and behind the scenes. However, in this particular instance, we see a game developer seeming to be mistaken in terms of their actually holding the trademark, and in addition to that, we are now seeing examples of the developers issuing threatening emails in order to attempt to bully YouTubers into taking their videos down, or else a DMCA strike would be filed against them. The reason? Because they showcased gameplay from someone else's game. I'll be breaking this down into different segments in the hopes of maintaining clarity, and of course I will post links to anything publicly available that is used within this video. And it's important to remember, being we are dealing with two games of the exact same name, which developer is which. First, we have T19 Games. These guys have done nothing wrong. They're the innocent developers. Secondly, we have Catcode Games. These are the people that I'm labeling as the dirty devs. These are the guys that are issuing the DMCA threats and seem to be misrepresenting trademark law. So, T19 good, Catcode bad. And now that we're clear on that, let's first take a look at the situation in terms of the trademark, and then we'll take a look at the DMCA takedown threats. Earlier today, T19 Games released a public statement on Twitter discussing their dispute with Catcode Games. Within this, they outlined some very interesting information, all mostly redacted, as in my private discussions with T19, they have expressed concern that they don't want to violate any potential privacy requirements, even though I did reassure them that there is no expectation of privacy when it comes to email communications, unless that expectation of privacy was previously agreed on by both parties. Now, in that, they discussed the copyright claims, which I want to keep separated out into its own section, so we'll skip over that until later in the video. But first, let's take a look at the games themselves. Now, T19's Hell Hunt, which is the gameplay you are seeing on your screen now, is a retro-style FPS that is currently available through itch.io. It is a very clear callback to games such as the original Doom and Quake. Then we have Catcode's Hell Hunt, which is an asymmetric multiplayer game with a Wild West theme. This game does not appear to have any sort of available content to play currently, although it does have a Steam page with no planned release date. From that Steam data, we're able to confirm that the original name was listed as Wanted: Dead Men Walking as of February 27, 2018. Then, a mere 12 days ago, on June 16th, Catcode changed the game's name on Steam from Wanted: Dead Men Walking to Hell Hunt. Per T19, Catcode sent them the following message on June 12th. Hello T19, I'm the producer at Catcode Games. We have had a project titled Hell Hunt in development for the past 4 years and have copyright for the name for computer games as stated on our website at hellhunt.com. I'd like to respectfully ask you rename your project to avoid any confusion for our customers. Now, in terms of copyright, I do have to point out a couple of things. First, if you are going to attempt to claim copyright over something, you really should know what it is that you are talking about. It's actually quite simple to Google the term, "Can you copyright a name?" And the highlighted result tells you in no uncertain terms, quote, "Copyright protection does not extend to titles, names, slogans, or short phrases. The Copyright Office has made that much very clear. You cannot copyright your name, the title of your post, or any short phrase that you use to identify a work." And the reason for that is a name, in terms of a product such as these two video games, is that such things are actually trademark and not copyright. T19 Games confirmed with me that they did not respond to this Twitter DM, and as such, Catcode Games sent them an email 3 days later containing the exact same wording. So let's look at the trademark dispute itself, because in my non-lawyery opinion, Catcode do not have a leg to stand on at all. We know that Catcode Games claim they have been working on Hell Hunt for 4 years. Meanwhile, we also know that they didn't change the name of their game to Hell Hunt until June 16th, 4 days after they had sent that Twitter DM to T19. Bear in mind that there are two different types of trademark. There is a common law mark and a registered mark. We also know, as can be seen on your screen now, that Catcode Games did file for a registration on June 12th, the same date that they had messaged T19. Now, in trademark law, the principle is held that first to use takes priority over first to register. Registering your trademark does provide you with additional protections, but a registered mark will not supersede an already used common law mark. Per Legal Team USA, to acquire ownership of a trademark, it is not enough to have invented the mark first or even to have registered it first. The party claiming ownership must have been the first to actually use the mark in commerce. Therefore, a party pursuing a trademark claim must meet a threshold use in commerce requirement. And what does that mean? Well, thankfully, that is clearly defined for us on that very same page. The two elements must be satisfied in order to meet the use in commerce requirement. In short, a mark is deemed to be in use in commerce when it is used or displayed in the sales or advertising of the good and service, and the good or service must be rendered in commerce. However, mere advertising alone may not establish priority of use. Both elements are required, and both elements must be distinctly analyzed. In determining whether the two prongs of the use in commerce test have been satisfied, courts consider when the mark was adopted, used in a way to identify or distinguish the marked good or service in an appropriate segment of the public mind, whether the mark was actually used in the sale of goods or services, the relevance of non-sales activity, and other similar factors which might distinguish whether a good or service has actually been rendered in commerce. Alright, so let's break this down. Let's find out when the first public use of Hell Hunt was made by either party. I did first look at the domain names, hellhunt.com and hellhunt.net. Hellhunt.com was purchased on January 8th of this year, and hellhunt.net was purchased on June 15th. So let's assume that Catcode managed to publish their website that very same day to hellhunt.com. Doubtful, but for the sake of argument, let's just assume that they did. That would mean that their first ever public advertising of Hell Hunt would be January 8th, 2020. Even though we can tell from their website that the name transition occurred somewhere between January 21st and January 28th of this year. Let's look at T19. They themselves had released the Hell Hunt Retro FPS first trailer video to their YouTube channel on December 25th, 2019, a full month before Catcode's first public use of the name. So in terms of the first test, the advertising test, T19 would win out. But what about the second test, the use in commerce test? Well, we know that Catcode have a Steam storefront, but nothing is released there, nor is the game available through their website, and being their website does not contain within it any links to where the game might be obtained, I think it's safe to say that Catcode have not engaged in commerce of their product at all. But what about T19? Well, you can go purchase their game right now over at itch.io. So they are engaging in active commerce. In addition, this is the name they have used from the very beginning, and only recently has Catcode Games changed the title of their game to Hell Hunt, which tells us that T19 not only wins out in the first advertised public use of the name Hell Hunt, they also win out in the second test as well. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with Catcode Games attempting to file for a trademark registration of a mark that they do not own. First-to-use doctrine shows that T19 holds a valid common law mark, and that means that it is actually Catcode that are infringing on their mark, not the other way around. Now, I can't really blame Catcode for this. They obviously didn't know, just as they held no awareness that you cannot copyright a name. Simply being mistaken means that they're incompetent in their attempts and arguments, but doesn't a dirty dev make? No, that happens when you threaten content creators to attempt to force them to take down their own videos of someone else's game under the threat of a spurious DMCA strike. Now, I've been informed that numerous creators and websites have received threatening emails from Catcode Games. The website Alpha Beta Gamer, the YouTuber Light and Crimson, and the YouTube channel Waffle Bros also tweeted to T19 that they had received just such an email as well. I've been told there are others that have received this, but these are the only names that I've been made aware of. And thankfully, the YouTuber Light and Crimson published the email they had received publicly, and it reads, "Hello Light and Crimson. I'm the producer for a game titled Hell Hunt in development by Catcode Games LLC. A video on your channel showcase a game titled Hell Hunt, and they provide a link to a video that is no longer available for viewing. Catcode Games LLC has copyright and trademark claim to the title Hell Hunt for downloadable games," which they don't. You can't copyright a name, and they do not own the trademark, period. They then list a bunch of links to their various assets, then follows that with, please remove all written or spoken mentions of the title Hell Hunt from your content, or remove the video entirely so there is no further customer confusion. I'm a developer myself, and I like to have good relationships with content creators that showcase games like you. So this is a courtesy email to avoid giving your channel strikes with the YouTube's DMCA claim system. I apologize for affecting your content, but it must be done to protect our team's 4 years of development work on our title. Thank you for understanding. Now, in this scenario, normally we would walk through the 4 factors of fair use and how that would invariably apply. However, we don't even have to go that far. The fact of the matter is, the videos and website articles in question were covering T19's game, which means any of the copyrighted work contained within those videos are owned by T19 and not Catcode. Yes, I know he's attempting to protect the copyright of the name of his game, but as has already been stated, you cannot copyright a name. The simple reality is, Catcode is attempting to engage in outright extortion. And no, I'm not being hyperbolic. Extortion, or perhaps exaction would be a better word for it, is the action of obtaining a benefit or beneficial outcome through coercion. It's most commonly defined as a protection racket. Now, why do I say this? Well, he made a request to these content creators to remove content that he holds no legal claim to whatsoever, and he backs that up with a threat of a DMCA takedown, which is a legal process, of which he has no legal right to do. Essentially saying, if you don't take it down, I'll take it down for you, and in the so doing will cause harm to your channel. We wouldn't want that now, would we? Remember, receiving a DMCA strike on your channel limits the capacity of what you can even do on your channel, and if you receive 3 separate DMCA strikes on your channel within a 90-day period, your channel is wiped from existence. Catcode has no legal claim to the content, and what he was doing with those emails may well classify in many US states as a criminal offense. And as such, I would highly recommend that those YouTube channels and websites that he sent those emails to report the attempts that he made to the authorities and discuss with the authorities the potential of filing charges. And while it is plainly evident that Catcode are completely ignorant in terms of copyright law, and the Digital Millennium Copyright Act in particular, there is the old adage, ignorantia juris non excusat. Ignorance of the law does not excuse. In terms of the trademark law and a final determination, that would likely be forced to go through a court of law. However, by every visible indicator available, T19 came first in terms of marketing Hell Hunt, and they came first in terms of commercial activity with Hell Hunt. In terms of trademark law, simply claiming, I was thinking about naming it this before they named their thing that, is completely invalid. Attempting to register the mark will also be invalid, as trademark use comes before trademark registration, and T19's common law mark is solid. Now, in regards to that, in my non-professional, non-lawyery opinion, T19 absolutely should dispute the registration, and if Catcode persists, I would file legal action against them. Then we have the copyright threats, and you all know that for me that is the larger affront here. Catcode have directly and deliberately threatened numerous creators and websites with a weaponization of the DMCA takedown system in order to silence the public visibility of another developer's product, which carries with it the threat of harm to their channels and their sites for failing to comply. You cannot copyright a name, and you cannot claim copyright of another developer's hard work. To do so is the epitome of scummy behavior in my book, and it absolutely should be stopped immediately. To those other creators, such as Light and Crimson, apologies if I'm saying your channel name incorrectly, by the way, there's only so many ways to interpret a slash, don't succumb to what this man has attempted to do. He holds no legal claim over your content, he holds no legal or moral right to make that request of you, and he holds no legal capacity to strike your content down. Light and Crimson appear to have removed their video, most likely because they believe that Catcode did have a legal claim, when in reality nothing could be further from the truth. That already caused harm to that channel in terms of not being able to generate views due to their desire to comply with what they likely believe to be a legal request. But ultimately, Catcode needs to back down. They need to retract those emails that they sent to creators. They need to, in my opinion, issue a public apology for being insufferable morons that are quite literally violating copyright law with their threats. Because this is a fight that they will lose. You don't get to claim ownership of someone else's product. That's not how any of this fucking works. And the Streisand effect, if it happens, will bury your game as a result of your own ignorance of what it was you were attempting to do. Welcome to the Dirty Devs. I hope you enjoy your stay. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. I'll see you next time.